back with another video, and today we are doing my labor and delivery story time. We're in the bed today because we have Sunny, and this is like where we live right now because I'm only 1 week postpartum. So let's get into it. So we're gonna give you guys a play-by-play of exactly what the 48 hours of my labor and delivery was like. But before we get into this video, I just want to say that if you are a mom or you are considering becoming a mom and a natural birth is not for you, that is totally fine. However you decide to bring your baby into this world, we do not judge. It is 100% your birth, your preference, and your choice. So literally, no matter how you do it, it's still amazing that you got a human here. Okay, so let's start off by saying that Sunny decided that she didn't want to come until she was 42 weeks and 2 days. And so I had to get a medical induction. They told me that my cervix still wasn't thin enough, so that I would have to do not only Pitocin, but I would have to do something called Pitocin, which is a vaginal like pill insert that they use to ripen the cervix. So we got to the hospital at what time? Like we were actually running a little bit behind. We got there around, yeah, so we got there around 8:15, but then we couldn't really find our way at the actual place. Like we were at the hospital, but we had to go to like the women's like birth center part. And so we finally got there, we checked in, which check-in was actually pretty fast. And then
you gotta make your way faster.
Yeah, because Tamam was still actually working the morning of, just trying to finish up all his stuff. Oh, I'm also gonna actually, because he actually recorded we vlogged most of the experience up until the end of pushing. So there will be a separate vlog of everything that happened during the start of labor to the end of labor. But yeah, so we got to the hospital, we checked in, went to the room, and the first thing that the nurse asked me after she introduced herself was what my birth plan was. So, I told her my birth plan. I told her I wanted like minimal nurses in the room. I wanted it to be dark. She asked me if I had done anything to prepare for the birth, and I have been doing hypnobirthing or studying hypnobirthing, practicing my breathing, all that stuff for the past, maybe
6 months?
Maybe 6 months of my pregnancy. I was preparing for my pregnancy because I knew that, my labor, because I knew I definitely wanted to have a natural birth. So a huge part of that was hypnobirthing. Honestly, if I didn't do hypnobirthing, I don't think I would have been able to have a natural birth, because you absolutely need to have control over your mental in order to, really push it out. Unless it's a spontaneous birth. But the fact that we literally, it was already planned for us to get induced. It's like you even have like more, like you have to like plan and prepare for it.
We also pushed the induction out until the last possible date.
Yeah.
Give her as much time as we could. I think she's supposed to be come out like the 21st of July.
Yes.
Yeah, but she didn't get her turn on this support.
Yeah. So, yes, hypnobirthing was extremely important because we didn't want to get induced, and I was hoping that I would go into labor at home, and then I'll be able to labor as long as humanly possible, and then boom, when I hit like, I don't know, maybe 5-6 centimeters, then I will head to the hospital. But it didn't happen like that. We got induced, which honestly, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a horrible experience for me. I know I've watched a lot of videos of other women who get induced with Pitocin, and they have really bad experiences, because we'll get into that later. So yes, we got to the hospital, checked in, went to the room. I told her my birth plan got changed, hooked us up to the monitor, boom. They told me that I was 2 centimeters dilated, and I think I was only 60% effaced. And so the first phase of my labor would be the Pitocin. So they did a Pitocin insert.
And then a few hours later, they did another Pitocin insert. And then they did another Pitocin insert.
And they can do up to 4. Well, they said they could do up to 4, but I think that they did more than 4.
No, they only did it 4 times.
Are you sure, honey? I really don't think so. Okay, so I got the Pitocin.
That sounds like some sort of technology.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like Cervidil sounds like Cervidil. Like what it's supposed to. It's for your cervix. But Pitocin sounds like I'm about to buy a laptop. anyways, they inserted the Cytotech, and it typically takes around 12 hours to get things popping. I'm hoping that it happens sooner than that, but you know, I also wanted her to come by herself for the past 2 weeks, so here we are. But yeah, that's what's going on. That's what's going on. I don't know. Don't rely on my memory with that part. But yeah. So nevertheless, they did the Cytotech insert, and then around 4 a.m. they were like, well, your cervix is still progressing really slow, and so we're gonna do something called a Foley bulb. And that's basically when they insert. It honestly looks like
It just looks like a tube.
yeah, it looks like a tube with a little tiny bowl about this big on it. They insert it and then they fill it up with water.
It's not that big when they put it inside of you.
No, it's small. It's like it's like a tube with like a little like it's literally this big, and they insert it inside you, and then they fill it up to 4 centimeters wide, so that when you get to 4 centimeters, this is supposed to help, you know, get the process going, so that they don't have to do like more medication and stuff. So when you get to 4 centimeters, then it naturally falls out. I was already having contractions at this point, but they weren't strong contractions. The beginning of my labor, I was having something called silent contractions. So the monitor was saying I was having contractions, but I still wasn't feeling them. By 4 a.m., I was having contractions, but after they inserted the Foley bulb, that's when the real contractions actually started to kick in. And it wasn't like pleasant. I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, it didn't hurt. Like the insert part didn't hurt, but she had to do it when I was having a contraction, and that was uncomfortable. And then
They actually do a lot of things while you're
yeah, which sucks because you're trying to control your mind like while you're having a contraction, but yeah, but they inserted the Foley bulb. It worked. I got to 4 centimeters relatively fast, within like an hour or so. I ended up having my first bowel movement, which was basically my body saying, okay, you know, it's starting to get real. Go to the bathroom, empty out, you know, do what it do, so we can get into real labor. Then after she inserted the Foley bulb, I started to feel my contractions, and I started the first phase of my hypnobirthing, which was no words. It was just a sound like track. So it was just like soft sounds, like forest and, you know, stuff like that.
We had the diffuser on with the lavender and pepper.
Yeah, at that point we had turned the diffuser on, which was another part of my birth plan. We used lavender oil and a peppermint oil. So Taman, you know, got that going. The lights were pretty much off like the whole time we were there, right? Because as soon as I requested that it be dark, she really didn't like, the nurse was bomb. Like, she didn't fight me on anything that I wanted or anything like that. She even, as soon as I told her I wanted to do it natural, she asked me if I wanted to do the 3 rule, which is basically where they ask you 3 times if you want to get an epidural. And I told her, I was like, I don't even want you to ask me at all. Like, an epidural is not an option for me. I don't even want it to be offered. Like, no. So she was
only
like, okay.
Because that was her plan.
Right. But anyways, so yeah, my contractions started to pick up around 6 a.m. So they did the Foley bulb around 4. Contractions started to pick up around 6. Then she was like, well, do you want to go ahead and take a shower? And I was like, yeah. So I labored in the shower for maybe an hour, almost an hour, before she was like, okay, you gotta come out because we have to put the baby back on the monitor. So I labored in the shower, which was so good. Oh my gosh. Like, the water was just beating on my back because I had back labor, and back labor doesn't go away in between contractions. It's just kind of like a constant pain that's happening throughout your entire labor. So having the water on my back was great. If you're thinking about being in a location where they offer like a shower or a bathtub, I would definitely say that that's a good idea, because the shower honestly really helped a lot. Yeah. So, but after that, then I labored in the chair for a little while, and I kind of just like scooted up to the top of the chair. Then my midwife came in, and she was just like, oh my gosh, you're so calm, you're in control, blah, 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 blah. And at that point, I started the second phase of my hypnobirthing, which was the track that basically talked like about like strength, like, you know, you can do this, your body is made to do this, you know, you are stronger than your contractions cannot beat you, you that bitch, like, basically is what it was saying.
Beautiful mother here, listening to her hypnobirthing sessions. Got the humidifier going on, not even humidifier, it's a diffuser, so it has like peppermint oil, lavender oil to just kind of ease her into, like, you know, a good sense of calmness. Hopefully we will see the baby a little bit later.
She was like, your contractions are delicious. I was telling Tamana that she sounded like a sex operator because she was just like, the pain is delicious. Use the pain, which it was a great distraction, okay? Because at this point, the contractions were pretty painful. So then after that, they came in and they told me, okay, we're gonna get you started on Pitocin. The thing about Pitocin is I was having contractions the whole time, but they were like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 4 minutes. What Pitocin does is it gets it like consistent. So it gets it like to like 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Then when it's like time to go, it's like 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. So then they started the Pitocin. I was still good, okay? I was still very much in control. And until I wasn't in control, until the pain was like, or rather the discomfort, because in hypnobirthing you don't say pain, you say discomfort. So until the discomfort got really, really real, my nurse came in and she was massaging like my side, and then she kind of showed Taman how to massage. Did she show you or did I? Yeah, she showed you.
Yeah, your back and your hip.
Yeah. So then the nurse came in and she showed Taman how to massage my side to kind of help me through it, because I was like really very much like feeling horrible. Like it was at this point, contractions were real. And yeah, I was literally like, I could like, and I also felt like I like needed to poop, which to me was like, you need to push, okay? Really, really, really painful. My back labor got even worse. But I was still like, no epidural. At no point was I gonna get the epidural. It didn't matter at no point was I gonna get it. So then they came in and they checked me, and I think at that point I was at like a 7, and so I still had a ways to go. I still had 3 more centimeters to go. So Tamar was just kind of helping me get through it, you know. He was telling me, you know, you can do this, like really encouraging me. And we had both prepped, you know. I told him like I don't want a whole lot of talking like during this whole process. I just need, you know, like encourage. He played around like the whole time before this point. Like he was just like all the time, like you can do this, like before actual labor. So we, you know, he knew what I wanted like going in, but I didn't want him to be like, are you okay? You know, is it painful? Like I wanted him to just know that it was painful and to kind of like help me through it, like through that. So he helped me through that, and then there was a point where it just got really real. It got really real. I was on all 4s on the bed, and I just couldn't like hold it.
I had to like stop her because she was messing up the IV.
Yes, like I needed to. And the thing about where I was, and this is one of the reasons why I'm heavily considering a home birth for our second one, is because of the IV and because of the like the whole hookup thing. Like I wanted to be able to walk around during my labor. I wanted to be able to like bounce on my ball during labor, and I wasn't able to do that because they were monitoring us so closely, and they have to do that when you're getting induced.
Because the baby can go into distress.
Right. So they have to do that when you're getting induced, like you said, because the baby can go into distress at any point. Your heart rate can skyrocket at any point, and if you don't stay in control, like you can literally just start to have like hypertension. So they had to monitor both of us closely. But if I wasn't gonna get induced, like that was the only thing about this situation that was not ideal. Because honestly, I had great nurses. I had this one nurse at night who just did not talk at all, and I loved her. Like she just did not speak, and like I was totally fine with that. I was trying to stay in the zone, you know. She wasn't touching me a whole lot. And then I had another nurse, and he just came in to help with the Foley bulb situation, but he was so positive. Like he just had like a great energy, right?
He even turned the heater on because he was like, we're gonna get her tonight.
Yeah, like he was like, you know, like, yes, this is gonna work, you know, we're gonna do this, da, da, da. So I had bomb staff. All the staff was black, which made me feel even better. So at this point in labor, I was rocking back and forth. You know, I didn't care about the IV, I didn't care about the monitor, I didn't care about nothing. She came in, my nurse came in, she tried to like, you know, redo stuff so that I can like move a little bit, but it was just like not an ideal situation with all the hookups and stuff. I got to the point where I was 9.5 centimeters, okay, And I was like, I have to push. I was kneading into Tamon's shoulders, like with my hand, like I was kissing him, like I was doing anything to like get my mind off the pain. Like I was just like, oh my God, I really want to push. So at 9.5 centimeters, I had to move. I was like, oh no. I was like, I cannot do this. Like, I was like, tomorrow I have to push. And she was like, do not push. It's not time to push yet because you're gonna destroy your cervix. It's too early, it's too early, it's too early. And my midwife wasn't there yet. So then my midwife came and she was just like, she was asking what was going on or whatever. And I dead ass told her, I was like, Anna, this ain't for me. Like, I can't do this. Like, we need to do something right now. They're telling me I'm 9.5 centimeters and that it's not time to push. But the way how my vagina is set up, it's telling me it's time to go. Like, it's time to push, right? So then she was like, okay, what's going on? So she asked the nurse, and the nurse was like, she's like literally like less than half. She has literally this much cervix still in the way. And so then she inserted her fingers in my vagina. And while I was having a contraction, she moved that tiny little piece of cervix out the way. They checked me again and said, okay, you're at 10 centimeters now. You're complete.
That's when it started.
That is when it got even realer. If it could get even realer, like, because it's birth. So the whole process, like, and on top of that, like, me and baby are both starving because you can't eat. So they just keep filling you up with stuff.
You hear Tamon laughing at me because I was telling him that I'm so hungry that we took naps. And I was really dreaming of riding a chili cheese dog and just eating the chili off the top, like with my hand. I'm starving. The time now is, it's a little bit after 4. I got my second dose of Cytotec. I'm starting to feel contractions. They're still definitely manageable, but noticeable. Like, I can't necessarily, well, no, I can ignore them. But really, it's my back pain that's like, annoying. So, and I'm sure that that's going to get worse. So, Sunny's also doing a whole lot of kicking and punching and jabbing right now. And I think that's because she's hungry as well. But there's nothing I can do about that to help her because she has to come out if she wants to eat
stuff. Oh, I threw up too, but I had a cup of Jello, which was atrocious. And the next day, Tamon had the same Jello that I had, so I think he totally understood why I ended up puking because that orange Jello was not it. And
I put whipped cream.
Yeah. So I had the Jello. I ended up puking, but low key that made me feel better. Like, I knew I was gonna throw up at some point during my labor because I'm a person that just throws up. Like, but yeah. So then I was at 10, I was at complete, and I was in the, like, they put the bed like kind of like up a little bit. Oh, I didn't even tell you guys. So in the middle of the night, after I got the Foley bulb inserted, the nurse gave me a peanut ball. And so I had the peanut ball in between my legs and I was laying on my side and she put the bed up a little bit, like kind of like on an angle like this. And that was supposed to help Sunny start.
I'm laying like at an angle and I have like one leg in a stirrup and the other leg just like down. And they're saying that this angle will encourage her to come down. So we'll see. Another update soon.
To descend down. So I think that actually helped the Foley bulb like method work a little bit faster. So then it was time to push and I literally felt like I was gonna have a brain aneurysm. Like I was telling my mother about my labor and I literally was like, you know the Airhead commercial where like they what happens? Yeah, their head like inflates like when they have the airhead and it pops off. Like that's literally what I felt like I was getting. Because you have to push so hard. Like you have to push harder than you think you're even able to push. So I'm like pushing down and I'm pushing down with every contraction. And then like I just started to like, because a part of my hypnobirthing was like, make sure that your team feels encouraged, So I was like, good job. Like everybody, you guys are doing great. And this was in the thick of pushing. Like I'm like pushing my lights out. And so Then the nurse says every time I was pushing, no, I asked him and I was like, when I push, is the baby's head going back in, like when I stop pushing? And then he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh nah, we gotta push, we gotta step up the pushing. Like, I need to push harder, if possible, if even possible. I need to push even harder. So I started to push harder because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want her head to keep going back in. Then the nurse says that every time I was pushing, the baby's heart rate would drop a little bit. But my midwife was like, okay, you know, you don't worry about that. You know, it's fine. Just continue to push, continue to push, continue to push. What? When I tell you I put down a piece of pushing, I was pushing my lights out, okay? And then it was really nice because like Tamara was like, I see hair, like you're almost there. I see it. You got this. Just keep going, keep going. And then the nurse was like, knees to chest, knees to chest.
Oh yeah, she got him.
She was like, knees to chest, knees to... I was pushing. And then there was a point where like literally I had screamed and then the midwife was like, get it together. Like, you got this, like get in control. So man, then I had to like just get it back. And then I started to do the last phase of my hypnobirthing, which was like, you know, just the way you breathe. So like you're supposed to inhale and then you're supposed to like grunt it out like and that's exactly what I did.
Go. Focus on the pushing and not the sound.
Okay.
Big breath. You still having a contraction? No, it went away. Okay. Good job. Yeah, that's a hairy baby. Did you have heartburn?
No.
Oh, well, okay.
I was wondering if the baby was gonna be bald or not.
Well, not a bald-headed baby.
Actually, that's it. And me and Tamara were talking because there's this video of this lady who she was saying how she was in a room and it was with her and a few other laboring women and they all sound like cows. And so then after the whole thing, he was like, you actually had a moment where you sounded like a cow. And I was like, that's funny because we actually watched the video where this lady was talking about that. But yeah. So then I was just pushing and they switched me on a few different positions. First I was pushing like kind of like sitting down kind of, and then I was pushing on my side, and then ultimately I was pushing like on my back. And then after some pushing, I started to feel the baby's head like actually descend, and you know, then there was poop. And I told the midwife, I was like, you know, I'll wipe myself. And then she was just like, no, I got it, but you know, you just want to wipe yourself. It's not even like...
Nobody can wipe you better than you can.
Right. I just really wanted to wipe myself. I mean, you're gonna poop. Like, there's no way you could like really even like hold it in. Like, you're going to have a... Because you have to push like to your butt. Like, you can't really push through your vagina. It's more of like a anal push. I don't know like how to describe it. Just say it's true, is it not? You have to like push to your butt. So, so then I was pushing. I told her I'd wipe myself, and then she was just like, "Don't worry about it." And then I started to crown, and the ring of fire is an actual ring of fire. It's like an actual. It literally feels like someone took a lighter to the surrounding area of your vaginal entry where the baby's head is coming out. And it hurt so bad. She was just like, keep going, keep going. I was like, oh my God. But then when her head popped out, when I tell you, literally the best feeling of my entire life, like, I can't even like describe to you. I didn't even feel her body come out. Is how great the head felt when it came out. Like, all I felt was her head pop out, and then like she just took the rest of her body out, and it was just like divine relief. Like, no better feeling in the world. Like, and everything was just gone after that, which was another great part about being all natural, is because you could feel every single thing that's happening with your body. Like, you know exactly like what's happening, and when it was over, like, it felt really good. Like, it felt amazing. But ultimately, I think I had a great birthday experience. Would I do it natural again? Yeah, I would. I mean, like I told Tamon, I was telling him, like, because of the Pitocin, it got intense so quickly. So like that would be the only reason why I would consider an epidural if I had to get induced again, was because I didn't really get the experience that I wanted in terms of the being able to really build up, you know. But I did get to use every phase of my hypnobirthing. Nothing went to waste. I'm gonna make a separate video on what you can do to prepare for a natural birth, because it truly requires a certain level of like mental fortitude to be able to do it. But I promise you, if you want to have a natural birth, it's 100% like possible. Like it really is. It's 100% possible.
She also didn't tear.
Yeah, and I didn't tear. Isn't that amazing? And like my vagina, it looks amazing. Like it looks good, and it doesn't feel horrible. And I think that's because like I could feel, like it's not like something has to wear off before you get your body back. Like you just feel everything. I did hemorrhage, so
which that was a good thing when we were in the hospital.
Right. I think that was another reason why we would consider having our baby at that birthing center again, our next baby, is because what if I was home and I had hemorrhage, you know? Like, then we wouldn't have had Anna there to kind of like, you know, take control right away. And she rectified the problem like right away. You know, Tamon was also expressing to me like how he was kind of like scared through that, because it was just a lot of blood. Like, and I couldn't see down there. I couldn't see what was going on. So I can only go off of what his face was telling me, which he has tiny eyes. So when they open up really big, you already know like that something like huge is happening. So his face was kind of scaring me a little bit, you know. But at the end of the day, like, we got a healthy daughter. We got her right away, and we were able to go home in 24 hours. Like, you can't beat that. You really can't. My birthing experience was great. In total, after checking in, when the medication actually started, in total, I labored for 30 hours, but I would have to say that only maybe 4 of those hours were at the brink of being like really, really, really intense. Up until that 4-hour mark, I felt like I was in total control. And then at the 4-hour mark, I really felt like I had to fight for the control. But couldn't have done it without hypnobirthing. Seriously.
Also, if you're going with a partner, just make sure he's aware of, you know, what you want as well.
Right. Because even though Tamon didn't prepare for 6 months, at the end, I made sure that he knew exactly what I wanted, especially because we're in COVID right now, so you can only have one person. If the one person is going to be your husband, your girlfriend, your partner, whomever, you want to make sure that they're totally equipped to do and to be exactly what you need them to be in that moment. And sometimes that requires not doing a lot of talking. Sometimes that requires, you know, a lot of reinforcement you can do. Some people need that. Sometimes that requires massages. Sometimes that requires, you know, like him knowing that I needed the diffuser at that moment. Even when I wasn't even thinking about the diffuser, like he knew like, okay, you know, now's the time for the diffuser. Now's the time she needs me to come and hold her hand, you know, because for a lot of it, I just let him sleep. Like I was just like, I'm good to go. I really didn't need him there, because I was like in the zone until I needed him there, and then he was able to be there for me every step of the way. Like literally, if I didn't have him looking down there and telling me like that I was getting close, like that was just great. It was the encouragement literally that I needed, and the affection. Like we were very affectionate throughout the labor, and I think that was good for him to know that I was still okay like through that, and it was good for me to be able to know that I had someone there who really like cared, and you know, who understood like what I needed. Like imagine like your mom being there. Like you can't really like kiss on your mom, you know. Like you can't really like caress your mom in that moment, but with your partner you can do that. So if you are gonna have a birth partner, especially if you're having your baby during COVID, we would both definitely recommend sitting down and really talking and preparing each other for what labor is gonna look, because you need to prepare. Like you need to mentally prepare. If you want to do it all natural, if you want to do it at all, you need to go in knowing that your plan is just loose guidelines.
Yeah, you have to be open, because who knows? You don't know what's gonna happen, so you have to be open to your plan change. So
right, and do your research, because like before I even went in there, when they told me that I would have to get a Foley bulb, I already knew what that was. You know what I'm saying? So like, if someone tells you that you're gonna go into a situation and it's like, if it's an induction, know all the different routes of induction so that you know what you can say no to, yes, I want this, no, I don't want that, what is this?
It's your choice.
Yeah.
Everything they say is a suggestion to you.
Right. Don't let anybody take control of your birthing experience just because you're in a medical facility. Whether you're having a home birth or whether you're having a hospital birth, you are in control. It is your body, but you need to make sure that you're going in educated. And it's so easy to educate yourself if you just sit down throughout your pregnancy and take the time to really prepare yourself. By the time I got to labor and delivery, like my midwife was asking me like, you know, so how do you feel about the whole thing? I was like, girl, I don't feel no type of way. Like, I had literally expelled all fear out of my head and all expectations out of my head for my birth, that I was literally going into it with a blank slate. And all I knew was, as long as you control your breathing, you control your birthing experience, and you are an advocate for yourself.
Midwife even asked if Ree would teach classes.
Yeah, because it was so like it's my first baby, and the fact that I was able to have such control, I think that's something that a lot of people feel like they can't do, like in a situation like that, but you totally can. And I did all of that at home. We plan on doing Lamaze classes, Mommy and Me classes. We plan on doing all that stuff. I plan on going to an actual hypnobirthing like coach, and I couldn't do it because of COVID. But we still didn't compromise anything with our birthing experience. Like, we still went in with all the tools that I had planned on using anyway. You just have to go out of your way to prepare yourself and to prepare your mind. And yeah, then Sunny was born, 7 pounds, 8 ounces, you know, 20 inches long, healthy, hairy, amazing. She's like the best baby ever. And yeah.
Also, I watched the whole thing, like she said, from like crowning to before crowning. Like, even when I could just see like the top of the hair on Sunny's head starting to come out of her vagina. And before crowning, like even when I could just see like the top of the hair on Sunny's head starting to come out of her vagina. And I'm still down to smash. It's not that bad.
You better be still down to smash, nigga. I pushed out your baby. What you talking about? It's so funny. But yeah, we were both very pleased. And I'm gonna do on my vagina. I looked at it with a mirror immediately. Okay, where I looked down and I was like, oh, that is okay. That is fine with me. That's our labor and delivery story, and out of it we got our healthy baby girl. And I would 100% do it again. I think the next birth I'll be even more prepared. Hopefully I don't have to get induced. Hopefully I don't carry to 42 weeks. But yeah, that's it. Look forward to postpartum must-haves, my experience with breastfeeding so far, and breastfeeding a baby with a lip tie.
Which I didn't even know was a thing.
Right. I don't think either of us thought about it being a thing. As much breastfeeding videos as I watched, just birth.
I just meant lip tie. I didn't even know I had one. Oh, I knew what it was. Well, I have one, but I never knew it was like.
It could affect how you breastfeed. Like now we even think that, well, I'll talk about it in the breastfeeding video. I'm going to be doing a video on how to prepare if you would like to have a natural birth. Now, this is not, you can prepare any way you want. I'm just letting you guys know how I prepared and what was extremely instrumental to me in making it through this birth. And I truly, truly, truly believe that everything that I did up until this point absolutely helped so much.
Except for all the inducing contractions.
Yeah.
Old wives tale.
Yeah, because none of that works.
She also didn't have any heartburn. This is probably one of the hairiest babies I've ever seen.
Right. None of that works, and none of those things are true. They're all what are they called? They're all myths, okay? So stay tuned for all the great videos that I'm gonna have coming, that we're gonna have coming now that we are reaching to Mom Plus One. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed our labor and delivery story. Be sure to look out for the labor and delivery vlog that will be coming up right after this. Peace out, guys. Love ya.
Peace.